Hello and welcome to this album review. This evening, I plan to review an album called Sad Wings of Destiny by Judas Priest. Okay, now interesting English band. Their first album from 1974, Rock-a-Rolla. That album is a bit of them trying to find their sound. It is somewhat of a heavy metal album, but more of a jazz rock album. And they were with a rather poor company, record company, and so the production isn't very good on it. But then 1976, you see that they find their sound. And it's a very heavy sound. I always say I like the heavy. People ask me, you like Judas Priest? I said, I like the heavy metal Judas Priest. You know, the one from 1976 to 79. After that point, to me, they started changing their sound. Becoming more, well, maybe in some ways faster, but lighter. I call that new wave of heavy metal. A lot of it is sort of like light metal. Like, let's say Van Halen. Now, Van Halen always had a good tone with them, though, so you could excuse. And they had an overall heavy presentation. Well, you know, at least until 1980. After 84, no. Okay. Then they just became Journey. All right, but that new wave of heavy metal, even the Ozzy Osbourne, that I call it, people get angry, I say that disco sound. I want to listen to disco, I'll listen to disco, and I don't mind disco. But you listen to Blizzard of Oz, Diary of a Madman, they're very pop oriented, and then it just got worse. I mean, they're good albums. You know, the original ones before Lee Kirkslade and them got scrubbed from the album. Bob Daisley by the Wicked Witch of Rock and Roll. But anyway, all right. So anyway, yeah, and then a band came along and saved the day, right? Metallica saved the day until their breakdown in Great Betrayal in 1991. But Judas Priest, you can see that after 1979, really starting in 78, 79, that transition period began. It got more into a pop sound. They got more popular, makes sense. And it's funny, because I was thinking about this, the more heavy they started to look with all their leather man outfits. And there's more behind that story, of course, as we know. But that Rob Halford was getting them to where the heavier they looked, the lighter they sounded to me. So I didn't have much interest in all that. Look Before You Leap has never been the way we keep our road is free stuff and all that. I mean, it's okay, but Iron Maiden was more of a credible part of that new wave of heavy metal for a while. But I remember going to that concert in 1985 for the Rhyme and the Ancient Mariner tour, Power Slave tour, I'm sorry, and everybody was sitting around at the concert like, oh man, please hurry up. If I want to read Samuel Taylor Coleridge, I'll go read it. I'll go to the library and get the collection of poems. It is pretty boring. All right. Well, that part of the concert was pretty boring. But we were young, 16, 17, and we wanted to see monsters, you know, inflatable monsters and all that. That's what you want to see. All right. But when Judas Priest wore blouses and little neckties, nylon, and nice slacks, and straw hats, that's when they were at their heaviest. So we'll look at that for a little bit. People say, why you didn't do the Fleetwood Mac stuff? Yeah, why not? Well, maybe because it gets muted every time. They don't want people reviewing their stuff. They don't need people to review their stuff. If you sell 40 million copies of one album, you don't need anybody to review your stuff. Jefferson Starship stuff never got muted. They're glad when people listen to their albums, I think. They say, hey, someone's listened to our album. That's good. I'm not going to really do comments much. A little bit. I was going to do a hangout with someone else, but his audio was shot. And everybody was trying to tell him, no one can hear you, no one can hear you, but he wasn't checking the comments, so hello, Ronald, says Maxwell. How are you? I'm fine. Hey, Jay, great topic today. Love Judas Priest. New wave of British heavy metal did degrade over time into a more polished sound, correct? If you ask me, it degraded into a pop sound. I just couldn't stand it. In the 80s, people used to say, what do you think about the 80s? I said, I don't like the 80s. And I was in the 80s. Oh, Lord. Hello? I'm all right. I'm doing something right now on video. What's up? I'll call you back. All right, bye. He's going to ask me a quick question. His quick questions last 2 hours. All right, sometimes, not always. So there's a lot of real frustrating stuff going on in the 80s. And, but most people I knew in the 80s, they didn't want to listen to heavy metal. I mean, what they called heavy metal, I said, I don't. You could even see Black Sabbath getting into all that pop metal. I mean, but they were getting bored with all singing about graveyards and stuff. You know, they just said, if we don't change, people are going to say you're stuck in a rut. And then when they change, people say, you changed. But I mean, people going nowhere, taking for a ride. That's not really what I'm thinking of when I'm thinking of heavy metal. They kind of got their act back together, of course, when they did their Dio era, 80 to 81, before they had their little stupid fallout. But Sad Wings of Destiny has some interesting songs. We'll go through it for a few minutes. And, you know, no one calls me all day, but if I go to do a video, then, you know, the phone starts to ringing, the door starts to knocking. Do you know Kraftwerk? Well, I have Autobahn on 8-track and LP, original first printing LP. So Autobahn is great. To me, it's like a great album. 4 out of 5 stars, you know, and that's because that's how I rate albums. 5 stars, superior. Perfect in every way. There's very few albums that are 5 stars. 4 is excellent. Might have a few flaws, but it's excellent. You need to have the album. Yeah, I know it's a German band. 3 stars means it's good. It's good. You'll enjoy it. It's got some couple of maybe bad songs. 2 stars means it's fair. You could tolerate listening to the album once every 10 years, maybe. 1 star means it's a bad album, and if you never hear it again, you'd be happy. And then a bomb means the album is so bad it's unlistenable, like, you know, like Metal Machine music. But Autobahn, yeah, that's an excellent album. And I think Sad Wings of Destiny is an excellent album. So it starts off with Victim of Changes. Now you'll notice that I said this like Black Sabbath. People ask me about Black Sabbath. I'm talking about the, you know, the 1970 to 78 version. I said that's a jazz band. I always like jazz. So to me, Black Sabbath was a jazz group mainly, and I can kind of demonstrate that. And I think people that listen carefully know that. Judas Priest has a lot of jazz elements and blues elements in their early albums, but they're so heavy. So here's, and another thing about Judas Priest, you'll notice their songs are archetypes, right? Oh yeah, here's some Guinness. Much of their songs are archetypes. Dreamer, Deceiver, Tyrant, Invader, Exciter, Painkiller, etc. A lot of their songs are about archetypes. We don't want to get into Carl Jung. Okay, but here's a little bit of Victim of Changes. We'll see what happens, if it'll work. Okay, so you hear the song. It's a lot of. I was thinking about this when I was listening to a different album, Sin After Sin. I was saying a lot of their songs start off like club music, like you would hear it in a club where people would be drinking at 11 o'clock at night, smoking, 1976, drinking, and they'd be playing that, and it had that blues club sound, but it was heavy. I want heavy metal music to be heavy. Like I ate a huge spaghetti meatball dinner and my stomach is full and I feel tired. I'm heavy. It's heavy. I do not want to hear heavy metal music that sounds like a little thin wafer, a Melba toast. That I ate 3 pieces of Melba toast and I'm hungry. I do not want to hear heavy metal like that. Okay? Raining on Your Parade says, I heard Glenn Tipton say that when he recorded the early albums, the guy at the studio would try to take out the distortion. Would have been cool to hear those albums with full distortion. Yeah, they didn't really have a lot of control over their sound at that time. Or their. Check out what my band after this. Punch Up the. I'm a Major Unknown Icon Rock Star. The Kiddie Pool 69. Okay, well. We'll see. Let's look. Now let's go to The Ripper. Now this is a famous Judas Priest song about Jack the Ripper. The Ripper. Most of their archetypes, this is not really an archetype song because their archetype songs never have an article like the. It's just tyrant, savage, whatever. So we'll go here, Ripper 742. Well, it's
You're in for surprise. You're in for a shock. In London town streets, when there's darkness and fog, when you least expect me, and you turn your back, I'll attack. So when I'm sneaking, shadows by the wall, I know when I'm creeping, that you won't hear me at all. Oh, in the morning, never turn your back on the river. Shake with fear, and never knowing if I'm near. I'm flying, I'm shameless. Nocturnal and nameless. Or if you like, just the night.
If you listen real carefully to this album, you'll notice that oh, and I was thinking about this, how Rob Halford and them, they would wear all these hippie clothes. They were like in these big straw hats and these platform shoes. And Rob Halford always had his hair nice and fixed and feathered. They look like they might be going out to dinner or something. And then you know, Rush used to wear kimonos and stuff. But all these bands, they dressed so funny, but they were heavy. All right, you can pick up some early hip hop, some rap. Like he would sing it like rap music from the 90s later. People said, oh, that speed rap. I said, when I first heard that stuff, I was like, I heard this before. This fast talking rap singing. I said, oh, Rob Halford. And he's got that like choppy way of speaking, that clipped way of speaking the song, and it's reminiscent of what came, well, at least 20 years later, maybe longer. Now, Dreamer Deceiver is a very long song. It's the you know, the 70s style. I talked about that on the Jefferson Starship album reviews, how they are like parts of songs put together, and they'll have like a certain format. You listen to those albums too, there's like a slow build, and then it goes into the main part of the song, and then they'll have another section where it's like another piece. Like these songs are almost like little suites, song suites, which was a common thing back then. I liked it, but maybe I'm stuck in the decade. But I just like how they have those song suites. So here's Dreamer Deceiver coming up. Hold on.
Standing by my window, breathing summer breeze, saw a figure floating beneath the willow trees, asked us if we were happy.
See, like this is the part where you go to the bar and the guy's up there with and he's singing all emotional and slow, and people are like smoking and they're listening. Oh man, you know. And this is one thing that this group did. They could sing, but their slow stuff usually, and their ballads usually led to like a sonic attack.
We said we didn't know. Took us by the hands and up we go. In the past.
Now, if you listen to this song, it rises with Rob Halford increasingly shrieking. He had a great ability to do that. Just shrieking and then eventually screaming. It's a great build. Jacob Miller said, this music isn't very Catholic of you. I don't think Judas Priest is anti-Catholic. They sing about archetypes. They never really sing about bad things. They just sing about ideas. I don't know what's anti-Catholic about it. Maybe they were Episcopal. Okay, so it builds up. that's why I say their songs reminded me a lot. And I like bands with good tone. Okay, Judas Priest had good tone, had at least. And I always, Craig Swinson said, "Oh wow, I'm 19 minutes late for this. My favorite. I love this so much." Hello, Craig. Okay, so certain bands have a good tone. Fleetwood Mac had a good tone. It's hard to describe. Judas Priest had a good tone, had a good tone. Jefferson Starship, when I did those albums before, they had a good tone. There's something about their tone that was good. But their sound is similar to this. You know, it's like all that melodic rock. And you watch the old concerts from like Winterland Theater in San Francisco, and Grace looks up there swaying, you know, and then they start rocking, like they would call it rocking out. And then she's up there going berserk and crazy. She was good at going crazy, but she would drink too much and then like really go crazy. But so much to get kicked out the band. But what I mean is they could build to that hammer drop, that sledgehammer attack, and that's what this album does. So we're getting ready to do the sonic blast of Deceiver. Hey, you know what? It's funny. Back in the 80s, I used to have friends, right? They would say, "Oh, we like heavy metal music." And then they would play some of the stuff for me. I was like, no. You want heavy metal music? All right, let's. And then I would play something like this, what I'm playing to you. And they would be, their face would be like, oh. They didn't like it. They didn't like Judas Priest because it was too heavy. They hated Black Sabbath. I'm talking about like, let's say 1985, 86. I would play this stuff or Children of the Grave or this album, and they just hated it. I was like, y'all don't like, you said you're a heavy metal fan, but you don't like heavy music. You like fast, but I mean, I could dance to, you know, Casey and the Sunshine Band. They're kind of fast. Some of their stuff, not, you know, please don't go. But so there was some kind of disconnect at that time. Of course, like I said, Metallica saved the day because they were heavy and fast. I don't mind fast as long as it's heavy. If I'm listening to heavy metal, you understand? So when I heard Ride the Lightning, I said, finally, it's what we've been looking for years. And it was so wonderful. And then Master of Puppets, and then Injustice for All. And I thought, here's the band that saved heavy metal. And then 1991 showed up. But anyway, I don't want to get into that because I'll go on a 10-hour rant about the great anger. I don't even want to get into it. Craig said, in the 70s, they had a great tone. It got a bit cheesy in the 80s. Yeah, it deteriorated. And I think it's because that guy Les Binks left, the drummer Les Binks. He had a jazz sound, and he wasn't playing. He's like, I ain't playing disco music, all right? You want to be on the radio? you know, Les Binks was going to play this heavy stuff that we're listening to tonight. He wasn't going to get up there and play Living After Midnight, Rocking to the Dawn. I mean, you know, that's Studio 51 music, okay? I'm sorry, but that's what that is. You are right. 80s speed thrash did not equal heavy. It was so depressing. I can't listen to British Steel. I cannot listen to all of that. It's just bad, honestly. All right. To me, it's bad. I don't mind Point of Entry because that's more of a serious album, but it's a weird album. I don't know what it is. It's more like Judas Priest does progressive rock. Okay. Next. Okay. Well, anyway, a little bit more of this, and then we'll go to Tyrant, the speed metal, the speed rap. You know, I said it's rap music. That's how you do a guitar solo. Like I was saying in the other counterpoint, that the Slayer. What do I think of them? I hate them. Simple answer. I was talking about Jefferson Starship, you know, in those other album reviews, and they were like Fleetwood Mac. I call that heavy soft rock because they got a lot of powerful guitar solos in Fleetwood Mac. You look at them live from Largo Center, 1975, or Jefferson Starship live from Winterland, 1975. They have a lot of heavy and vibrant and vicious guitar solos. Fleetwood Mac with Lindsey Buckingham just nailing it. Starship, Jefferson Starship with Craig Trequiso just nailing it. Heavy soft rock, I call it. You know, something can be soft and still be heavy. You know what I mean? You can get crushed by a huge 2,000-pound pillow, I guess. It's soft, but it'll kill you. Jacob says those dark lyrics are satanic. I have never seen anything in Judas Priest that is satanic. I'm sorry. I'm not into like devil music, okay? Sorry. It's like Solar Winds. I don't think Solar Winds. It's like esoteric music, you could say. Donovan was heavy. Right. Superman and Green Lantern ain't got nothing on me. Look, there's like a perception issue with, there's sort of a perception problem with a lot of the music. You know, Deep Purple had some super heavy stuff, and they had fast stuff. Like Highway Star, Space Truckin' was slow, but it was heavy. But Highway Star was fast. There was some kind of problem in the 80s where people lost their dedication to heaviness. They were all into speed. I think a lot of people were taking speed. You know, that could have been it. There was a cocaine, methamphetamine, or speed, methadone, and they were like wound up. They couldn't deal with heavy or slow or any kind of. All right. So anyway, let's go. I heard that rock stars took drugs. I heard that somewhere. Okay, let's go to Genocide. I'm sorry, Tyrant. You know, that's not satanic. It's about a tyrant. That's an archetype. Person who uses tyranny over people. All right. Yeah, he says, hold on, we're going to go to that. Raining on Your Praise says, people think distortion means heavy. I don't think so. No, distortion is not necessarily, could be, but it's not the same. You could have clear heavy, distorted heavy. Distortion helps. Yeah, people are real mixed up about a lot of things these days. But here's a rap. I call this a speed rap song. It's a speed rap heavy metal song. Awesome song. Yeah, so when rap music came out and all the speed rap came out, people were like, oh, man, this is something else. And I was like, I heard that before. And, of course, I heard it because I had been having Sad Wings of Destiny for a long time. And I said, I heard about this. I drink beer and alcohol like I listen to music. I think about it more than I drink. You know what I mean? I don't just drink. Back in the 80s, everybody would go out. They want to go to Fat City. That's a big party area by New Orleans. We go and drink, but they would just drink, I don't know, like Miller Lite, get drunk, be stupid. They were all taking drugs and stuff too. These people have messed their lives up. I'm talking about people I went to high school with. I'm like, I don't want to do that. And same thing with music. I wanted to think about it. I would buy these albums. And I have a lot of albums, but I would buy all these albums and I would listen to it. I'd be thinking about it. You know what I mean? I'd be thinking about every bit of it. Okay, so Tyrant, great song.
Chained and shackled, we are freedom, jumped in dread. We live since tyrant was enthroned.
Okay, so the next is genocide. No, they're not promoting genocide. They're singing about it. Oh. Jacob said, what happened to the Oreo shirt, Jay? Oh, I have it, and I have an even better one. I'm going to wear in upcoming videos, like a really expensive Oreo. Well, not expensive, but really nice looking. It looks nice. You're gonna love it. I've done it in other videos, worn in other videos. It's a fabulous shirt. And then when I exhaust the Oreos, I got some other cool stuff coming to wear. This is just a black shirt with plaid shorts. Okay, Craig says, such groove. I love it. I mean, it's, and what a voice. I mean, that guy had such a great voice, like Freddie Mercury in his heyday, Stevie Nicks in her heyday. I could go on and on. And the music is so good. Do you ever get tired of Sad Wings of Destiny? No. Okay. So then Epitaph and Island of Domination. Now, Island of Domination is a weird song. It's kind of weird. That's like the weakest song in the album. And I'll tell you why in a minute. But it's all right. But here we got Epitaph, which is just like one of those little intro songs. You know, all these bands used to have those little intro songs. See, if you listen to this album carefully, you can pick up what I'm talking about. Looking good. Do you have a date tonight? Haha, no. A date with going to my bed and watching baseball. The second game of the day-night doubleheader. The Yankees won the first game. I'm gonna watch some highlights after this. I'm gonna watch some baseball highlights if any of them are posted. I got some beer reviews I'm gonna listen to from some people while I got the game on, and then that won't take long, and then I'll just go lay down and watch it. We'll see. The Yankees might win. I don't know. They're all going to be exhausted. Those teams are going to be exhausted after the 16-inning game last night. Go Sox. I don't know. They're starting to go downhill is what they're doing. They're going downhill, seems like. I don't care who wins. I'm not a Yankees or Sox, Red Sox fan. I just watch the games. Are you joining Dr. Dave? How can I join Dr. Dave? His audio was non-existent. That's what I was supposed to be doing. There was no audio. First, it was garbled, like, that's what Craig says. And then there was no audio. So that went on for like 30 minutes. And then I was bathing and I was listening to Sin After Sin. And I was like, I'm going to do a Judas Priest. Do I like Sin After Sin or Sad Wings better? I like Sin After Sin better. And then I like Stained Class even better than that. But I'm going to review those later. Because they were building, they were improving. And then they just wanted to be, I don't know what they wanted to be, big and popular, even though they were sort of popular. You should post a video of a chug of 40-ounce malt liquor. Yeah, I don't think so. That's not my gig. So let's go on. Kraftwerk. Yeah, I could review that. I don't know. How do you review how do you review Autobahn? Okay, Freddie Mercury could play this, by the way. This could be on a Queen album. There's a lot of carryover between, there's some carryover between this sound and the Queen sound from 1976. But I'd rather listen to this because some of Queen stuff, it gets really boring. I mean, some of it is awesome, and then some of it is dull. And I know because I got a lot of Queen albums. All right.
The old man sitting there, his head bowed down. Every now and then,
right, Yellow.
Take a look around, and his eyes reflect the memory pain of years gone by. He keeps shrieking nostalgic dreams he'll never see again.
See what I mean? Like, this could be on A Day at the Races. This song could be like Craig said on an ELO album. So Judas Priest they weren't locked into a sound, but that was what was good about them in those days. They didn't have to always, every song has to be like this, has to follow this particular formula. Must follow a particular formula. Didn't have to be like that. You know, their albums could vary, and I like bands that can do that. But then you got the 80s where everybody had to fit into this little peg and this little slot or this little other shape, and it was not good. Okay, so let me go to Island of Domination, which you're going to notice that sounds like, okay, this is controversial. All right, it's kind of a gay song, right? Like gay people sing like this. It's like Rob Halford singing like Bette Midler, okay? And look, I remember in 1982 people saying things about Rob Halford. 1982, I was like, yeah, you know, Judas Priest, they got it going on. I don't know about Screaming for Vengeance. I wasn't like too keen on that album. I like the cover art, but you know, you don't listen to the cover art. Up here in space, looking down on you, my laser's trace. That was like pretty hokey, you know. But I remember people saying, you know, that guy's gay. I was like, what? What are you talking about? So that was a rumor. And then you watch the concerts and you're like, you know, he did kind of twist the way he twisted on that when he made that turn. I don't know. That is kind of, I don't know. I mean, I didn't care as long as the guy could sing, right? But people put that in my head, and I was watching, I was thinking, he does bounce around a little bit. But this song here, there's like little clues that the band wasn't picking up on really at the time. But like if you listen to this song and other stuff, you say, yeah, you can see that there was some kind of like little lifestyle thing going on here.
With trembling hand, wipes a tear. Many fall like rain. There's one for every year, and his life laid out so clearly now. Life that's but death, so near. I want see come to clearly now. Let's go. Let's teach us shining, destruction and doom. Loose on this night.
Now, okay, yeah, like he's saying, the calm before the storm. That's what Raining on Your Parade says. Oh, I'm not drinking beer, Jake. I'm drinking Wild Turkey 101. Oh, I'm sorry. Old Crow, Bonded. No longer produced. But then he starts singing like Bette Midler. I'm like, why are you singing like Bette Midler? Why are you trying to sing like a woman in a honky-tonk bar in Mississippi? This, if he didn't sing it right, well, it doesn't matter, you know, but it sounds really weird.
Now we're taken to the island of domination.
Oh yeah, okay. So he starts singing it like Batman, like Island of Domination, or you know, like a New Orleans somebody at a Preservation Hall. I'm like, why are you doing this? We know now he had this little interest, but the song does end strong. I got to give it that. It does transition to a strong ending. So the album is overall solid. We'll look at a little bit more, listen to a little bit more, and then we'll close it out. Yeah, see, so if you wouldn't have done that little Bette Midler part, the album would have finished so strong. That was just a little. It should have said, "Look, you don't need to try to sound like Bette Midler, you know." But it closes out strong, and then I'll give you my final assessment of this album. Play the last little few seconds of it. All right, so it closes out very strong, and that little Bette Midler business kind of mixes it up a little bit, messes it up a little bit, but still it's an excellent album. It's not a 5-star. It's not world class. It's not that good. So I was thinking about this. What albums would I call world class or superior? And I mean they're flawless. They have no flaws. Well, of course, Rumors, 1977. I'm going to read the comments in a minute. I would call Working Man's Dead, 1970, and American Beauty, 1970, perfect albums. Who's Next, 1971, perfect albums. That's 4 right there. Probably Revolver, 1966, and Rubber Soul, 1965. Perfect. So that's 6 albums. Mixed. It says you're right. It's an odd song, but I like the heavy qualities. That's what Chris Ezel says. What is your opinion on Led Zeppelin? Rebel Athlete says. I think they make great studio albums. I have every Led Zeppelin studio album. Great albums. Not too many weak parts. My favorite album is Presence. That'll make me have a lot of enemies now. Probably lost 20 subscribers by saying that my favorite album was Presence, 1976. I'm not too sure about Led Zeppelin live, though. I've seen a lot of live shows. They seem very ragged. Do you know how to play instruments? I used to play the flute, but that was a pathetic. I think I could play instruments if I gave it an effort. I just don't give it the effort. You have a rumor. Lil Wayne. I hear the rap music too. Yeah, you see, I tell people this. This album has rap music basically before they had rap music. I can show you a Jefferson Airplane song that has rap music in 1971. It sounds like Bronx rap music you'd have heard in the Bronx in 1971. Yep, I can show that. Celtic Frost Monotheist 2006 is a perfect album. Never heard of that. So to Megatherion, perfect. Hearing this rap in the rock has changed my life. Jacob Miller says, hearing this rap in the rock has changed my life. Thank you, Jay. How did the world go around when you knew an album was released? Oh, how did the word go around when you knew an album was released or kicked ass? Well, everybody would just talk about it. There was no internet. Well, they did have the internet in 1982, but it was so limited. They had CompuServe, and apparently Jefferson Starship was one of the first bands that had a huge following on the internet. I'm talking about 1982 CompuServe. It's all message boards. And they would say, oh, because they have like that cult following. You know, certain bands have, like the Grateful Dead, have like a cult following, whereas the world at large looks at the group and maybe wants to bomb it, you know. But they have that, because it's like the Grateful Dead. Either you get it or you don't get it. You know what I'm saying? So the Grateful Dead, I used to always say, who the hell cares about the Grateful Dead? I don't care about this hippie band. And I remember I was laying in bed one night, 1995, and I was watching the Grateful Dead movie. They played it on MTV, you know, back when they used to play music. And I was watching, I was like thunderstruck, totally thunderstruck. And I said, oh, I get it. Like I got it. You know what I mean? I got it. I said, the Grateful Dead, their music goes in a circle. See, I didn't understand that. You know, but I realized then, I said, their music goes in a circle. So, of course, naturally, I had to go buy all these Grateful Dead albums. But, you know, you listen to their music and you watch the concerts, and if you don't get it, you're not going to like it. You know what I mean? But I got it. Same thing with all these other groups I was talking about, including Judas Priest. You got to get it before you like it. Otherwise, you're going to hate it. So a great album, Sad Wings of Destiny. Would I like to review Sin After Sin from, that's when they started with CBS Records, 1971, 77, or Stained Class from 78, which to me is their best album. It's so heavy. It's so heavy you almost can't listen to it. You know what I mean? It's like the heaviest ever heavy metal album. Stained Class. Now you might say, I know some album that's heavier than Stained Class. Oh, you do? What is it? Name that album. I think things started to deteriorate with Judas Priest with Killing Machine, known as Hellbent for Leather here. They started bringing in that pop sound. You know, that album was a transition album, sort of like Permanent Waves and Moving Pictures. Yeah, I know some bands are heavier than Judas Priest in 1977, but are they good? That's the question. Heavier, but are they good? Would you send a letter to your friends via dinosaurs? We would just talk about it at school. We would just say, oh, and we would listen to each other's stuff, you know, like on a portable stereo. Listen to this. And I remember when I didn't know Metallica. I knew Metallica because, oh, here's the question. When Metallica dropped, what was your take? Many assume it was another level of metal. I was very depressed in the early 80s because I figured heavy metal was dead. It's over. There's no future. There's no future. I mean, we would listen to groups, buy albums, but we said there's no future. It's over. The garbage we had to listen to was just, it was horrible. And so I told my friend Thomas, I said, well, all things end, you know, it has to end. And then we had seen, we get all these rock magazines, and we saw Metallica in the rock magazine. It was Megadeth, what records, what was the record company? you know, they're an independent record company. And they would have little ads for this album, Kill 'Em All. I said, I don't want to buy it because it might be terrible. Like all these other ones we buy. We order them through the mail and they come in and they're terrible, you know. We had done that with other albums and they were just bad, you know. So I said, no, Megaforce Records. I said, I don't want to buy that. Megaforce. I don't want to buy that, you know, because it's going to be bad. So we didn't buy it. You could order it from Los Angeles. It would come in about 2 weeks, maybe 6 weeks. So I said, I don't know. So then there was some chatter like Metallica, you know. So then in 1984, somebody said, I got this, like he ran up to me in the breezeway at the school. I got Ride the Lightning. I said, yeah, I heard of that group. And he had the Walkman, you know, the portable stereo. So he played Ride the Lightning. So I heard it and I was stunned. I couldn't believe it. So when Metallica dropped, what was my take? I was stunned. I said, I just couldn't believe it. I said, it sounded like horses running. I told my friend Thomas, I said, it sounded like horses running. Well, he just went crazy. He ran around his house screaming. Now I can remember this. He was screaming, this is it. This is it. This is it. He was saying, nothing else matters. He said that. It doesn't, no, I don't care about Black Sabbath. I don't care about Iron Maiden. I don't care about nothing. I don't care about nothing. He was like screaming in his house. It's all about Metallica. So I said, oh, we got to go. So we drove, you know, we went immediately to the record store and we bought the album Ride the Lightning. We came and we played it, just played it continuously. Call of Cthulhu and Trapped Under Ice and Fade to Black. And I said, this is it. This is it. I knew this was the real deal, you know, because we would buy Black Sabbath albums in the early 80s and nobody would listen to that. None of our friends would listen to that. They wouldn't even listen to the Beatles. We don't listen to that garbage. I said, you don't listen to the Beatles. You're so stupid. You're so ignorant, you know. I would tell them that. You're so stupid. You want to listen to Duran Duran. I didn't mind Duran Duran, but they would just say such stupid things, you know. And so I couldn't believe it, you know. Fight Fire with Fire, great guitar sound, and Ride the Lightning. It was the best I ever heard, you know. And then Master of Puppets came out, and I said, this is the heaviest thing I've heard since Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. It was amazing, really. It was amazing, really. And I went to see them in New Orleans with Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy Osbourne was like a clown show. I couldn't wait for him to get off the stage. I remember looking at my watch saying, oh, please don't do an encore. You know, that Jakey Lee days. It was very depressing. But Metallica opened up for Ozzy Osbourne. And they played for about 1 hour. Just 1 hour. They never talked. They just said, hello, thank you for watching us, something like that. And then they just played. No cursing, no sex jokes. They were just serious. They just played for 1 straight hour. And I said, this is the best concert I ever saw live. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. I said, this is it. This is the band. This is not a good band. I told my friend Michael Bergeron, I said, this is the band. That was a serious band, man. That was a serious band. That was the best concert I ever went to. Metallica, 1986, Master of Puppets tour. They had like a big sheet, looked like a big bed sheet they painted. That's how poor they were. They had no money. They had the only thing they had was talent and a drive. Well, you know, unfortunately, a few months later, there was the bus accident. So that was the end of that. Yeah, they made the Garage tape, you know, the Garage, did that EP in 1987, which I bought immediately. That showed that there was hope, perhaps. Then Injustice for All came out, and it had a lot of flaws. It was a double album, as you know. But I said, no, they got a chance. They got a chance. They got the new guy, Jason Newsted, and they got a chance. There's a chance. I'm going to, you know, there's hope. There's hope. You know, so I thought, yeah, this is a credible album. I listened to it twice, like all the way through, and then I listened to it all the way through again the next day. And I said, there's hope, you know. So I was very confident about Metallica until 1991. And then I turned my back on them. I mean, I really turned my back on them. It was like, people, I don't want to talk about Metallica anymore. People bring up Metallica, anything from 1991, and I spit. I spit on the ground. I spit on you, Metallica. Where's the, yeah, I know. Where's the bass on Injustice for All? So 1991, that bothered me to no end. Like, I still got a lot of things I got to work out in my head about that. I had a lot of, I've been trying to work that out. For 26 years, I've been trying to figure this out. I've been trying to think about it. I can't figure it out. Why would you do this? Why would you destroy everything? I don't understand it. I don't get it. Doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, let's forget. Hey, let's just forget about 1991. Let's just forget about that. That's a bad year. Let's forget about that year. Oh, well. All right, so we reviewed Sad Wings of Destiny, Awesomeness in less than 40 minutes. I don't mean the video. The album is less than 40 minutes long. And if you want me to, I'll review Sin After Sin one day down the road. I'd love to do that. I love to talk about these groups, you know. Most of my friends and family, they don't care. I have a guy at work, he loves to talk about these bands, you know. But he kind of likes that 80s bad metal, you know. So he's into stuff that I can't take. He says, what about this group? I say, oh, I'll put a gun to my head before I listen to them. Chris says, please do. Yeah, so let's look at Sin After Sin coming up. Hopefully soon enough. All right, thanks for watching this video production. It went on long, but you don't rush through Judas Priest. People that rush through Judas Priest in the, you know, I'm talking about 1975 to 1980 Judas Priest. That bothers me. I don't like people that rush through Judas Priest. That don't sit well with me. Okay. Thank you for watching this video production.